everyone, welcome back to 5DT with me. One of the threads that just kind of keeps coming up that I wanted to talk about is a sense of community. And I think that community means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. Community can be something where you focus solely on your friends and your family, or community for you may actually be getting out into your neighborhood, out into your city, volunteering, being parts of organizations, whether it's a church, whether it's a volunteer group, maybe you're in a running group or a ski group, whatever it is, it's something where you are surrounding yourself with like-minded people. Maybe you are all aligned on a certain cause, whatever it may be, there is a sense of community, a sense of connection, a sense of understanding. And I personally have been focusing a lot more on community and what it means to me since about the middle of last summer. For me, on my healing journey and the things that I needed to do for myself in order to kind of realign my identity, but also to give myself the time and the space to re-regulate my own nervous system after some things that I had gone through several years back, I took the time to just get quiet, to spend a lot of time by myself, to really explore what self-love meant, because it surely has taken on a much different kind of definition for me the older that I get. And so I really have been trying to make a concerted effort to realign and reconnect with people, not just necessarily people from my past, although that is part of the process, but also extending lines out to new people in order to align with folks where there's a sense of belonging. And I want to explore that a little bit because I was recently on a retreat. For those of you that follow the channel, you know that last month I was in Mexico for an eclipse retreat. I was teaching meditation and breath work for the participants there. And so it was this unique little microcosm where I got to watch and people watch. And it was a very intense time as well. It was the apex of eclipse season. So we were all going through a variety of different things, and some people needed more space than others at certain times. Other people wanted more connection at other times. There were micro communities within our larger community. We were obviously in a community that had opened up their arms to us and invited us in for the eclipse and to share their space, their town, their community with us. And so it was a very unique experience when it came to really honing in on what community means to me. And when I got back, I stumbled on a video from Brené Brown. For those of you who don't know Brené, she is a researcher and a storyteller, and she focuses all of her research on topics like courage, empathy, and shame. And there was this video that popped up on my phone of Brené saying something specific about some of the research that she had done. And what she was saying is that she was shocked to find that the opposite of belonging, true belonging, was trying to fit in. What she was going on to say is that, you know, when you are trying to fit in, you're assessing people, you're assessing your environment, and then like a chameleon, you're morphing yourself into the thing that makes the most sense for those people, for that environment. Whereas true belonging is when you are actually fully supported, you can show up in the fullest expression of who you are, and no one questions anything, no one questions the words that are coming out of your mouth, even if they don't necessarily agree with them. It's a very safe, supportive environment where you have the ability to sit in the fullest expression of who you are. And so I want to break that down a little bit because I think this has a lot to do not only with what community means, but also has to do a lot with the pressures and the stresses that we place upon ourselves to morph into all of these varying different roles because of the kind of society that we currently live in. And as a result, we lose our identity along the way. And I feel like I can say that with the fullest understanding of what that means, because I myself have had to rise like a phoenix from the ashes and really refocus back on what my identity is and who I am as a person, as opposed to who I am when I am connected to a specific group of people, a specific person in a romantic relationship or otherwise. And it can be and feel very daunting, and it is a process, and you have to sit in a lot of the pain, sometimes heartache, sometimes the memories and the trauma of what has happened to us in the past. So when Brene said that in the video, it made so much sense to me. It resonated immediately. It's like all my nerves were firing on all cylinders, but I wasn't necessarily fully thinking about community in that way. So let's break it down a little bit. So when we talk about assessing the people and the scenarios that we are surrounding ourselves with and changing in order to become a part of it or in order to fit in. So that is essentially stating that we are putting on a mask at any given time when we are attempting to fit in, and we're doing it for other people's benefits because maybe it's easier that way. Maybe that's what's expected. Maybe that's what's been programmed into you, whether it's by society or by your family or what have you. So let me give you an example. When I was in Mexico and we were at this beautiful retreat, we had the opportunity to have a couple of sharing circles where we could all come together in a safe and supported environment and we could share what was going on, because again, this was the apex of the eclipse. So emotions were running high, people were processing through a lot of different things. We were where totality was, so the energy was really high. And what interested me the most were two things. One, the people that were the most vulnerable, the most authentic, and showed up expressly as themselves, exactly as how they were feeling in that moment, were actually the hosts of the retreat and the practitioners, including myself. And I think it took everybody by surprise, because normally when you're a practitioner, or especially if you're hosting a retreat, you have a tendency to put that mask on, right? You want to put that professional face on. You want to make sure that everybody else is getting everything that they need. But I thought it was really beautiful that we, as the people who were either helping to run or the people that were actually running the retreat, were showing up as their real authentic selves. And one of the comments, so this is the second part, was from a woman who was saying that she started stepping and really diving fully into spirituality and what that meant for her as a result of becoming very, very ill at some point in her career. And she realized that if she continued on the trajectory that she was on at that time, she was not going to get any better. So she stepped away and she stepped fully into exploring, like, what does meditation mean to me? What does spirituality mean to me? What does plant medicine mean to me? What does Reiki and energy healing mean to me? And she really dove head first. And one of the things that she expressed was that she had to step away from all of the masks that she was putting on in order to please all the people in her life. And she had to learn how to sit in her own identity, away from her husband, away from her kids, away from her family, away from her work, away from all of it. And it wasn't until then that she started to have a huge growth spurt in terms of her personal journey. Her family showed up for her in a way that they had never shown up for her in her entire life, because she was finally getting real. not only just about who she was, but what she needed from them, what they meant to her, and all of these things. And I just thought it was just such a beautiful sentiment and a beautiful way to talk about how we need to drop those masks in order to actually live the life that we really want to. And it's hard. I mean, it's difficult to do because it's so entrenched and so ingrained in who we are. And it's how most of us grew up. A lot of us did not grow up in families that were super spiritual and encouraging ourselves to sit in our most authentic self and to not please other people or to not act a certain way or have a certain amount of etiquette or whatever it may be. And obviously, all of these things differ depending upon age, depending upon race, depending upon gender, or depending upon what life changes you're going through. So it's not a linear experience by any means. But that being said, then I got home and I'm kind of reintegrating myself, not just spiritually, but also, you know, just back into my own community and the everyday life that I lead. And a friend reached out to me and she texted me, and actually I'm just gonna read it. I can't continue to dim myself because low vibrational people get uncomfortable around me, right? So let's bring this full circle. Let's break down the rest of what Brene was talking about and kind of where I'm going with all of this. Talking about a true sense of belonging is talking about being able to show up as your most authentic self, as the fullest expression of your identity, of who you are, without all the roles, without all the masks, right? Put the soccer mom stuff down. Put the I've got to be the world's greatest dad stuff down. Put the I'm the president of this company down. Put the I volunteer on the weekends and I'm integrated fully into this organization. Put all that down, right? Who at the core of who you are? Who is that? And are you honoring yourself by showing up as that person, either in your existing community or as you extend and express yourself out to other people in your larger community, however you're defining that for yourself? Because it is a very difficult thing to do. We are so entrenched and so ingrained from the time that we were born as to how to act, whether it's from our family, from friends, from school, from college, you know, peer groups, whatever, to morph into all of these different things and to play all these different roles in order to create a definition of success for ourselves that, quite honestly, when you step back and you look at it, isn't really a definition of success at all. And that's something that I've had to really realign with in the last couple of years for myself. What is my definition of success? And that has changed drastically over the years. And especially now. And, you know, a lot of people will define success by the amount of money that they have in their bank account. But for me, coming back into full regulation of my nervous system, finding my people, that I don't have to explain anything about what's coming out of my mouth. They just either understand where I'm coming from or honor where I'm coming from. And actively listen, but also actively share. And again, it comes back to that safe, supportive environment where people can be who they truly, truly are, and not sitting around a table with a bunch of people and all of a sudden realizing that everyone's looking at you like you have a third head and you're not doing anything other than expressing your authenticity and expressing your love and expressing your light out into the world. That's just not your community. That's just not your people. And that's okay, right? So there are going to be people along the way who are going to judge you for all kinds of things. And I think the biggest thing, aside from self-care and self-love, and I'm getting into this a lot in my meditation class this week, is that we also have a tendency not to extend the same kind of forgiveness, the same kind of mercy, and the same kind of non-judgment that we extend to other people. We don't often extend that to ourselves. And I think that this is all part of the healing process. And for some of us, myself included, it's been a long road and it's taken a long time to seek out the people that I truly align with and that are my ride or dies, and that I know are going to be fully supportive of me no matter how I am showing up on any given day. Whether I'm coming in hot because something happened earlier in the day and I've got something to vent or rant about, which I try to minimize, but it does happen. Whether I am an emotional mess because I'm going through something or grieving something at that time, or whether I'm at my best. And the people who will walk hand in hand with you through the valleys of life that you're trying to navigate, if those are the same people that are showing up as you're climbing the mountain, encouraging you along the way, motivating you to put one foot in front of the other, and then when you get to the summit, especially if you get to the summit before they do, if they are celebrating you and they are happy for you and they are truly showing a level of unconditional love for you, that's your community. And I would much rather spend a bunch of time looking for those people than sitting around in groups and communities and different kinds of organizations seeking out how to fit in. It's like a square peg in a round hole. It just doesn't work. You can only continue to do that for so long until you literally feel like you're going nuts. And so here's the deal. Statistically, okay? Let's get back to the facts and out of the emotion and the waters of it all. When we talk about friendship, human connection, and the concept of loneliness, there's a lot going on right now in society. And we as human beings are social creatures. And, the numbers say that when you're in a healthy space, you should have a minimum of 3 to 5 close connections in your life. But in a 2021 survey, almost half, 49% of adults had 3 or fewer friends. And 12% reported that they had no friends, no connections that felt like they would be there for them if they were in a time of need. Now, without getting into the other statistics, if we tally that up, that's 61% of adults. That's a tremendous amount of people who are sitting in a space where they do not feel like they have full access to close connections that will fully support them regardless of what they're going through. So that brings me to the concept of loneliness. Statistically speaking, in the United States alone, 60% of adults report feeling lonely. And young adults between the age of 18 to 22 are the loneliest age group to date. And the number of people who live alone has increased by 30% over the last few decades. And loneliness and stress, but loneliness in particular, can have really debilitating health and mental health disadvantages. So whether you are re-entering back into society, back into social circles, back into a community that either you've lost along the way, that you're trying to regain, or that you're trying to build from scratch, I just want you to know that you're not alone, and that we, as the 5D collective, are always here for you with open arms. However you need to show up for yourself, it is my role and my job to meet you wherever you are on your journey, and that you have a safe and supportive environment in order to express fully who you are and to be able to have someone guide you in a way that is not just custom to you, but makes the most sense and is gentle for your personal transformation journey. And as we grow this community, as we extend our tendrils out into the spiritual community, as we extend our tendrils out into the health and wellness community, I just want to say from the bottom of my heart that building this community has meant everything to me. And I don't take the responsibility of, in this case, being the face of that community lightly at all. So if you're struggling, if you need help, please don't think that you have to get to a different place in your life in order to open yourself up, in order to become vulnerable, in order to start exploring those parts of who you are in the community that you want to be a part of, because you did not find this video by accident. You still clicked play. You still maybe have listened to this entire thing, and there's a reason why this messaging has been showing up for a lot of people, and there's a reason why this message is showing up for you. So, as always, in love and light, I wish you the best with whatever you're going through. We are always here. If you need help, email us, drop us a DM, drop us a comment down below, whatever it takes. We're here to connect, and until the next 5D tea with me, namaste.